excited. So let's call this meeting to order. And I'm excited about the agenda, and I saw some numbers too.
All right, well, I think we've officially opened. Mr. Bryant, thank you very much for joining us via telephone and interrupting your time away, but we appreciate you being with us, and welcome to everybody. I know it's summertime and it's July, and last time I checked, it's pretty hot outside, so we're excited. We've had a very busy summer. I think everybody knows that. We've had some significant personnel changes, and this team is amazing and has just continued to tromp on through and making the work happen. And so we've got a lot of exciting things to share with you. I think you'll find exciting as we preview and get ready for the new year. As you know, one of our goals last year and continues to be is to expand our communications, and so we have already and continue to thank Ms. Bridgman for her efforts in helping us get our footprint out there. And one of the things that we'll be bringing to you, it's a work in progress, but I just wanted to give you an overview that before school starts, we will be launching a new website. And so Ms. Bridgman has been she's been the forward thinker on this, but Martha and Kat Flippin and many folks have pulled together to make this happen. So we'll be previewing that for you. We're going to wait because we're still doing some additions to it, but it is going to really help us in terms of having a up-to-date, very robust website that is very informative. And some of the things that I want you to be aware of that I think are exciting, all of our schools will have their calendars that are linked. So the main page for Jackson County Schools, you'll be able to see what's happening on a daily basis at all of our schools. And so there's a lot of integration from our school websites to our district website. The district website will be updated on a regular basis through our Facebook and Twitter feeds, but the information that is somewhat what we call static, that stays in staff rosters, those kinds of things will be there, and we can ensure that it stays up to date. And because of the way those are linked between school-based and district-based, I think our footprint is going to improve. So Karen, I want to thank you for that, and folks here are continuing to add to, and so we're excited about that. So going forward into the new year, we've got all kinds of supply lists and open house dates and all of the activity that goes along with the school year is out there. And there are some other topics that we'll discuss as we go through the evening tonight that we'll be highly advertising very quickly here. And a reminder, David is not here tonight. He's doing a commitment as a serviceman in terms of his fire requirements, but he is all prepared, and you can go on to Versatran on the website, and any child, any parent can look up their bus route, and they will find out exactly what their pickup time and their drop-off time is. So all of the changes that we implemented through this 16-17 school year are being effectively executed. So I'm excited about our kids being able to go on and parents go on and find out their bus routes and so forth. So I would say that we are ready for the new school year and very excited about some of the things that are happening. So I'm going to ask Mr. Nicholson if you will get us started with our leadership and performance updates.
Absolutely, it'd be my pleasure. And I do want to thank the board because this time of reflection, you think, where were we last year? What can we improve upon? And I feel immensely better. And so I thought, why do I feel so good? Well, if you consider last year, we operated in teaching and learning with one content specialist who was part-time, science and social studies, Deborah Riddleberger. That was it. We didn't have a technology director. We didn't have a curriculum director. We didn't have a director of school improvement. We didn't have professional learning coordinator. That was the team that was here. We tried to do all of those things. And while anyone on the team is capable of doing any one of those things, nobody's capable of doing all those with the level of excellence. And so we just a very sincere thank you, because today this week we have accomplished more in this 4 10-hour days than I think we are able to accomplish sometimes in a month, just because we have the right people in place. So you'll hear from them this evening, but again, just want to thank you. You already alluded to the very exciting event, which is the first thing on our agenda, and this is a really exciting event. On August 21st, you have in your packet there the solar eclipse. And this is something that is going to be rather unique for folks in our area. And you can even see the map where it will be crossing the United States from the northwest all the way to southeast. And in Athens is like 99% total eclipse, so we're close enough to that we'll be probably 97% or so. So this is one of those events that we deliberated, we talked through multiple school systems. Do you let the kids go home and hope that somebody at home is going to work with them and prepare them to experience the eclipse appropriately, protecting their eyes, or do we extend the school day and we do this here? Well, we're in the business of educating, so we are going to ask with your blessing that we extend the school day on that day, which most of the school systems in our Northeast Georgia are doing. There are one or two maybe that are doing an early dismissal, but personally I think that's a very missed opportunity for our students. So we have already purchased, and so I know we're broadcasting, so we've already purchased 1,250 glasses, but if there's somebody out there that would like to sponsor solar eclipse glasses, we will gladly take your donation. True message, for real. We have purchased them in preparation. They have the solar filter. You can't just go out with your regular glasses. And so what you'll see is we have an information page, and the time of dismissal is left blank because after talking to Mr. Farmer, you'll see at the bottom there that the maximum partial eclipse, meaning at that point you haven't reached the entire eclipse, it hasn't completely occurred, would be about 2:38. And given our dismissal time, that wouldn't be functional anyway. You wouldn't be able to do that. But even if we did 2:45 or so, you'd rush the kids out, look at it, and come back in. And so we're looking at a 3 or maybe even slightly thereafter, 3:10, 3:15, that we could get all of our students out there. We practice this. They all have glasses. Teachers have glasses. Everyone will have glasses that wants glasses, and they can go out and they can experience the entire eclipse. And talking to Mr. Farmer with the new approach to transportation next year, it won't have an impact on delaying middle and high school. He said really it would only be a middle school person that was doing a double route, but as long as he knew well enough in advance, he could make that happen. We just know that there are people that have afternoon commitments, and so what we put in here is we said if you need to check your child out, they will be counted for a full academic day. Just check them out no later than 1:30 because we really want to be able to start the preparation for that at 1:30. So there's some information in there. If you'll take a look at that and just let us know Monday if this kind of if we have your blessing on doing that. And we did put in here a solar eclipse viewing permission form, because you can potentially damage your eyes, but again, with the glasses, you're not going to damage your eyes if you just look up for a half a second. But if you have children that are at home and they're looking at it, your eyes are not going to make you want to look away because you're not getting the full intensity of the sun, or so it will feel, but parts of your eyes are still getting that full intensity. So we have the glasses and activities that we can do with it, and even from the fact that it's, assuming it's not a stormy, rainy day, it'll feel like evening, and you'll start hearing the sounds of night at 2:38 in the afternoon. So an enormous learning potential built into that afternoon. So take a look at that, and certainly let us know how you feel about delaying elementary dismissal on August 21st.
If you don't have an objection, I know that Karen and I have talked about the sooner we can let parents know, the better off we would be. So we'd like to start publicizing and letting folks know that there will be a delay, and we're looking at 3:10 to 3:15, probably adding about 30 to 35 minutes to the elementary school day. Middle and high school's dismissal time is already appropriate, so it would just be elementary. So, oh, he's already
Look at that. I'll make sure I don't lose that.
Once in, every 20, 30, 50, 100 years, every else is, it's certainly one of those timelines that certainly it's a learning experience for the kids. So anything that we can do to help that, I think we're better off.
Fantastic.
Very good, very good.
I think so too.
All right, good. Well, we'll plan. I don't think that needs to necessarily be an action item, but if you support it, then we'll go ahead and start moving forward with communicating that that's our plan, and then parents shouldn't be too many accommodations. Parents have to make 30-minute extension as long as they know ahead of time. So that would be
Too
great.
bad we can't capitalize it somehow on there. I just heard on the news earlier tonight up here, Southern Tennessee, I guess where the center point of it is, the hotel rooms are $599 a night.
Wow. That's amazing. I've heard of a lot of people taking off for the mountains. I know Raven County, which is one of our northernmost counties, is really celebrating, as they should. Oh, good.
Thank you. I'm going to skip number 2, and when I turn it back to you,
Okay.
let you that's in mind. So one of the things that we had to do this year also is the attendance requirements have changed in terms of what we used to refer to as full academic year. At one point, you only had to be present for 65% of the school year. Now it's 90%. Now, there's nobody in this room that would argue with the fact that we want our kids to be present. If they're not here, we can't educate them. But it was a pretty extreme shift in the expectations of attendance. And so we have met multiple times, and Martha has been coordinating some of the meetings around what we're going to do in regard to attendance. And so I'll ask her in a minute to kind of speak to some of the specific changes. For the most part, we're adding increased consistency at elementary, middle, and high school. But just so you're aware of the 90%, it's if you have a teacher that is out, and so you think 180 days, they're out more than 18 days for whatever reason, health reason, whatever it might be, then you have the potential, if it's your top-notch teacher that's on maternity leave, then you have the potential of having those students' scores not count, because it applies to the teacher and the student. So if the students and the teachers aren't all there together for that 90%, then that could significantly impact our data. Likewise, if you have a student who is out for 20 days for whatever reasons, that student's data it could be a student that is a wonderfully amazing performing student that had some sort of life-changing experience. And so we want to make sure that we are very forward-thinking in terms of recognizing what a legitimate absence is, making sure that we have a plan for when students are out. We included our middle and our high school and our elementary school principals in our discussion, and the consensus was largely that we want students here. If the student is not here, we're going to find a way for them to continue to be active participants. When Kat speaks in a few minutes about Canvas, we have the opportunity for a child to be home. I keep using the example of pink eye. You can still get on a computer with pink eye. You just really don't want the child with pink eye in the school because it spreads like wildfire. But that child could literally still log in on a computer and be present physically at their home, but be present and actively participating in real time. But even if that wasn't a possibility, we have the opportunity for students to know what is expected of them in terms of performance. And we can say that while you were not physically present, you did participate in the work. And so that's kind of the bigger picture of what we're trying to accomplish with making sure that when students aren't here, if they are still able to either front load the work if they know that they're going to be gone, or currently while they're out, be able to participate or have a grace period afterwards. Because it's like anything else. When you miss work, the work is still there. The expectation is that you still get the work done. And so that's kind of the more global perspective. But Martha, would you like to highlight some of the specific changes that we have in terms of excused and unexcused?
Sure. Basically the excused and unexcused definitions, we have not changed very much as far as what's considered excused or unexcused. But the schools, before we're sending, we were sending people to attendance review boards and stuff like that. So what we're really asking them to do now is look at what's the situation, what happened with that, allow the student to make up that work if possible. We've got schools that are using incentives for attendance, things that students get to participate in because they're there a certain, a high percentage of the time. So those, they're using that. They're also doing a few things where they're allowing students to make up the time, either early in the morning or late in the afternoon, and allowing for time to be made up. And that's actually something that's allowed at the state level. There's an official thing called days made up, and they allow the time to be made up if that's appropriate for the situation. So, and they were very, we had a lot of people in those meetings, and the positive aspects of it, we want to try and turn the procedures to being more positive rather than punitive. So we want to give students a reason to be there, and so the engagement process of it that Cal will speak to, I think, will definitely help in that situation. So.
And we had, was it 150?
Yes.
We had about 150, give or take a few, families that were referred to the attendance review board, and 10 of them, if I remember correctly, had some sort of consequence. Now, underneath what we've been doing, you don't just send somebody willy-nilly to the attendance review board. There's a consistent pattern of absenteeism. So one of the things that we realized is that that takes a lot of time on the social workers, and it's not yielding the impact that it should have, and it's probably because they're busy. I'm not social workers, but you go to the courthouse, there's a lot of things going on, so we really felt like what we should probably do is reserve the attendance review board for situations that you would essentially say are neglect. So that if we're not overloading them with families, we're dealing most of that with in-house procedures, and that's our last. We've done everything we possibly can. So we do send letters at 3, 5, and technically we send them at 3 days missed, 5 days missed, 7 days, and 10. But part of what we changed in here is that it's not an automatic referral to the attendance review board. Let the school deal with that, because sometimes you start to see an improvement and you realize that, again, there was a divorce or something happened and they're doing the best they can and they're making improvement. That's not a family that you want to go and add additional hardship to them. So giving that level of flexibility to our schools and reserving a more judicial impact to those that are more severe. So that's also a change that we do.
And I commend both of those. There were some rich conversations about when you're talking about workforce development and you're talking about work ethic, there's some great value in making sure that students understand that you have a responsibility to get to school on time, but there are elements of that children have no control over. Exactly. And so making sure that we're careful about how we prioritize how we use the attendance review board. So very good. New teacher orientation.
Oh yeah, you should come. 26th and 27th. It is going to be a very impressive experience. We have completely revamped how we're doing new teacher orientation. We're practicing what we teach, and the fact that Kat is intentionally named the director of personalized learning. So we can't just bring a bunch of people in, have them all sit in a room and talk at them for 8 hours and say, come back tomorrow because we got 8 more hours of stuff we want to talk at you about. That's not going to happen. So we have a very unique approach that we're taking, and it's going to be more like going to a conference, and they will have total. How many sessions did we end up doing?
6 sessions with 7 options.
7 rooms.
Yeah.
So that's 42.
42. Yes, they will have 42 concurrent sessions that they can choose that are completely aligned to our school improvement plan, our goals, the strategic plan, the areas that you'll hear us talk a lot this year about the remarkable experience. And we plan to highlight consistently every month a remarkable experience. And so we want our new teachers to come in and realize that they have landed in a place that values teachers who go way above and beyond to create experiences that go back to the attendance. If you wake up and say, Mom, I've got to go to school because I am the chief engineer, true story at West Middle, I'm the chief engineer of our Amazon automated delivery service, and if I don't get there, my team is going to fire me. True quote that one of the kids gave me this past year, that he had to get to school. If we have events and experiences like that every day, then kids aren't going to want to miss school. So our new teacher orientation, we have onboarding that Dr. Blankenship, I'm sure will talk to you about. We have a half-day experience at East Jackson High School where we're going to highlight some of our teachers who have already done some very remarkable work. We did this at the leadership retreat at West Elementary this summer, and it was probably the best thing we did. We had Lori Clark and Will Dodd and April Davis and Casey Rogers. I mean, we had folks that just got up and painted a picture of what the experience was like at their classroom, but then they had students that spoke on behalf too. So we want to do that the first day so that people know what we're talking about. They have a model of what it is we're talking about for the remarkable experience. And that whole second day, they're going to sign up for 6 different sessions, choosing amongst 42, and have a very personalized day that each session addresses their interest and their need. So if you can't come out, it's at East Jackson Comprehensive High School, and that will be on the 27th. That's the Thursday. So just even to stop by, we're really excited about it.
Come have lunch with us on Wednesday.
Yes.
How many new folks do we have coming?
Last that I had was 82. We have a couple more since then. So.
Yeah, well, I padded that number just so that you would be able to, because I counted in the positions that we hadn't filled yet, but in anticipation that they would be filled, and so we're still looking at about 82.
We're seriously, if you can come join us, we'd love to have you. We'll introduce you. You can lead a session if you'd like. We can make that happen.
More than welcome to do that for sure. Absolutely.
All right. A couple other things. The last two are actually very much related. And again, with this remarkable experience, one of the things that we would like to do this year in teaching and learning that's a little different is a little healthy competition. You have so graciously already indicated that putting devices in teachers' hands and putting devices in the students' hands is a priority. And so Kat's going to speak to you in a few minutes about the details of how we're going to go about doing that. With the teacher devices, they're not going to compete, they're going to get their devices, but with a slight revision of how we'd like to roll them out. But in terms of really having folks be recognized for creating remarkable experiences, we're going to have a few competitive grants. And it's very similar to when we did the 21st Century Classroom grants, but one of them will be the actual acquisition of their devices. And so again, Kat will tell you details, but instead of just giving every school X number of devices next year and X number, we know how many we need to get to one-to-one, and they will still get them, but that initial rollout will be more so through a grant process and writing a proposal on how you're going to use these, and having rubrics and having a team of folks so that we give them to the people who are without a doubt just eager, chomping at the bit to use them, so that we already have models built into how you can use a one-to-one scenario in your classroom. So again, Kat will speak to that in a few minutes, but we've got a few other innovative grants, and one of those is a partnership with Josh. We praise him multiple times. The man has an eye for education when he builds a space. There's nobody like him, I just can't imagine. And so partnering with him on going in and teachers writing grants to say, I would like to do this within the confines of my room, and have them draw out a model and talk about how they're going to use the different spaces. And it's like what we did with some of the different types of furniture, but even carpets to delineate different spaces. And so to have Josh and teaching and learning partner so that you can create that remarkable experience through a very unique space. Again, everyone has ability to apply for it. We don't have the funds for everybody to do that, but just so that you can start to see, because one of the things that I've learned in this position, if you don't have a model, people just don't know what you're talking about. So that's one of the things that we're going to do as well. And then our Canvas rollout will be kind of instead of just everybody gets access to the learning management system, we're going to do a more of a competitive approach to the LMS. The folks that certainly, if you won the one-to-one device, you would pretty much have to be the person that's using the LMS, but so that we have people who are eager to implement, those are the folks we support first. But in here, we have the Jackson County instructional tools update and competitive grants. And Kat, do you want to kind of speak to that?
Sure, definitely. I try to enumerate for you guys, particularly from a teaching and learning perspective, some of our thought processes. And I do want to have a shout out to Mike Summer, my amazing tech coordinator, whose expertise has been phenomenal. Because both I've been here since Wednesday, and we've done a ton of work in that short amount of time. And it's been incredibly amazing for me, and it's kind of an honor for me to be here right now. So with the new faculty devices deployment, we wanted to be able to give them clearly something that would not just be traditionally what you see here. We want to give them a 2-in-1 device that would untether them from their desks. We want them to be able to walk around and essentially become teacher facilitators, which is what they need to do in a one-to-one environment. So in doing that, we're going to stay with PCs, and we would like to have a rollout instead of doing all at once, which in a technology industry is not exactly a best practice. In the event that something happens and we need to replace devices, if you do it all at once, well, that's 700 some odd features you have to handle all at once. You need to have rotation cycles in place. Eventually that will actually help fiscally. It's a very fiscally conservative approach, so that down the road as we start replacement, it actually saves us funds in the long term. So what we would like to do is focus on high school and middle school teachers and have a rollout starting at ideally late August. And we will come to each high school and hand those teachers a new device. We'll have training built in. I've spoken with media techs and media resource specialists, and we're all prepared to help them and guide them through this. Our projectors will start being networked as well, so they'll be able to throw, as you've probably seen here in the boardroom, from all the devices up to the projector and walk around, write on their tablets if they need to in order to instruct something, or just flip back to normal laptop mode as well.
And then we'll end that probably early October, and then the following year will be elementary. And we're not going to say elementary, too bad, so sad. We're going to take whatever is in the high school and middle school that we can resource that have been most recently purchased and pass that down to elementary to support them for a year. At the beginning of next school year in 2018, right at the get-go, all elementary will have all the new devices as well. So that helps us start that rotation cycle that has not been in existence before with our PCs. And if you have any information, if you would like any information on this, we'd love to talk to y'all. Y'all are welcome. We're actually stationed over at Gordon Street now, so please come visit. It's a great location. So
What's a 2-in-1, Kat?
2-in-1. Good. I wish I had an example. So a 2-in-1 is essentially your plain old laptops, right? But I don't want to break this one. But you would literally just 360. It just goes and it becomes a tablet. You hold right here and you write with any stylus. The one that we're looking at in particular is a 14-inch. So it's not too tiny, but it's a nice size for teachers to walk around. It's rather light, weight matters. But that way it can make them go and use it in any format that they want. Windows is unique in that it does have that capability that you can use the typical tablet apps as well, so it does expand upon the possibilities of what they can use within their operating system. So there's a ton of apps that do not have actually a web-based version that would be great, like Nearpod. I think we have a district license for Nearpod. They have a great app that goes with that, so no need to actually download the program or go to the web interface. So that's essentially a 2-in-1. Which would be, I think, very empowering. I personally have had an untethered classroom before, and it was an amazing experience. So that's that.
I think, and I appreciate Kat and Todd and everyone who worked, Michael, on preparing this. I am certain that we will want to make sure that this is the first that we've shared. We've not shared this with our principals yet, and we'll be talking with our principals next week. And since we are being broadcast, this is the first that our elementary have heard. They're not getting the computers next year, but I want to reassure everyone that we have quite a few at the high school level that will be repurposed.
Yes.
So the elementary will have sufficient, more than sufficient devices that they need. It's just the phase in. And honestly, with some of the programs that they have at the high school, the CTE programs and all those, we've got to reinforce that.
Right, and that was kind of our primary motivation in that case. But with the materials that we have now, we're gathering an inventory, a really good picture of our entire inventory. We're kind of seeing that we have the ability to really optimize elementary for a year, definitely. Right. So people who cannot charge laptops, that will not be a problem at all. Right. Or mice issue, anything like that, we'll make sure that's taken care of in the meantime.
Perfect. So with that being said, on Monday, you will see a SPLOST requisition. If you recall, from a financial point of view, when we made the decision to move forward with implementing the 2% raise plus the sustainment of our supplement, we shifted that to a SPLOST expenditure. So you'll see a request for $250,000 to purchase, begin the procurement of laptops for our teachers.
Awesome. So the Chromebook Classroom Grant, as one of the things I studied was motivation, and I also studied innovators. We want to be able to gather those people who are highly innovative, and they want to be the early adopters, and they can latch onto this and become imbued with that excitement and be able to become a model for other people as well, provide professional learning down the road. And this is one of the ways that we do that, where we can actually gather one-to-one and start right where we want to start in that kind of environment. So these people, they'll apply, and there's an application and a short answer piece, and then they'll also get a lesson plan that they'll have to exemplify how they would use a one-to-one in the classroom, and then all of that will apply to a thorough rubric, and it's a double-blind process, so we'll have a once grading, you won't know who it is or where they're located, and then we'll have a different committee also look at it. We want to make sure this is a very valid system, right? And then whoever wins will be highly celebrated. I have no qualms about going over there with balloons and noisemakers and having some fun, because this is a huge deal to go one-to-one and really own that within the district and be that remarkable experience, that model. They'll get that starting early November. We'll be able to roll that out, and then we're going to have a follow-up for the next fiscal year. So we'll have an application in March that'll come out. We'll purchase in July and roll out in August, because we don't want it just to be a one-time thing. We do it twice, and that actually will increase our numbers a substantial amount. So it's 1,000 and 1,000 Chromebooks, and that will actually give us a really big chunk toward one-to-one, rather than just on a yearly arbitrary kind of basis.
And the only caveat to that is there is one school right now that if for some reason they don't win enough competitive grants to have enough devices for testing, we'll make, there's one school in the system that doesn't quite have enough devices for testing. right now, and so we will certainly make sure that that happens.
Oh, yeah.
We borrowed them from another school last year, but we can work that in, but that was one of the questions that came up. And the idea is that we'll still get to 1-to-1. It just might not be that everybody gets the same amount each time, and build a little healthy competition and get people excited about it. And so we still have the 4-year plan in place. It's just that they don't
How to
get
deploy.
dispersed. Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Wow,
It's fun.
very good, yeah,
Thank you.
sounds very exciting.
Oh, definitely. I would happily welcome you guys in the rubric team and rate all these as well. I would love that. So thank you.
Well, fantastic. I was there, but you were the face of the Empower
Well,
Center
I don't
right
know.
now,
We'll
so
see.
I'll turn it back to you.
I just wanted to make sure that our board was aware, and I'm very grateful to continued support of our community. Ms. Wilson was there at our luncheon on Tuesday, and then of course many of you have been a part of this. But we are narrowing down the timeline. Our grant for the College and Career Academy is due on September the 15th. I met with Dr. Rudder, who's helping us with the grant writing, but I think the highlight of it all is that on Tuesday, we've been trying to get Casey Cagle to come and promote his understanding of College and Career Academy, his advocacy for College and Career Academies, and we learned in pretty short time frame that, hey, he's available on July the 11th, and we learned that like the middle of June. So we had a lot of folks pull together very quickly, and we're able to pull off a very successful event on Tuesday. We had probably about 200 folks from our community who came and became informed of what we're trying to achieve here with the College and Career Academy. And it is, to me, it exemplifies what we were trying to do with personalized learning, and that is provide a variety of different options for students. For the board's perspective and from being excellent through efficiency, it helps us long-term that we can add additional career pathways and college pathways, but we don't have to duplicate services. We have it in a central location that's accessible for all of our kids. And so I think it's extremely exciting. Commerce City Schools and Banks County are also going to participate in the Move On When Ready availability, because we'll have Lanier Tech and the University of North Georgia there. So we'll have 3 school systems plus Foothills Charter High School will be utilizing that. So if we get this grant, we'll know in December, it will be a catalyst for a game changer as well. So it was a great event. We're going tomorrow, myself and Todd and 2 community members are going tomorrow to Macon for a meeting related to this grant. And I think it's going to be a point of pride if we're able to execute it, and I have confidence that we will. So great progress there. Thank you for everyone who supported it. It was a short turnaround. It was impressive. I have to put a shout out to April Sorrow, who is, she's amazing. She is the steering committee chair. And if you want something to happen, that girl can make it happen. She can make it happen. So she is. And there's a lot of great people on that committee. Many, many people have stepped up. Mr. Shaw with the chamber was great support. And so great progress made there. So we should be proud. We should be very proud, and look forward to finding out that we've secured that grant. So, all right. Well, as we move into human resources, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Blankenship in just a minute, we have had a very busy summer, and you're going to go over the personnel recommendations, I know, and we're going to have an executive session at the conclusion of this meeting. We're going to get some good news in a little bit with financials, and I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't recognize the fact that there's some heart-wrenching names on here, one being, as we know, Mr. Jamie Hitzkes, who you all already are aware has transitioned and has already begun his job as a school-based leader, and looking forward to him having a great experience in his new role, and will be missed greatly, and a special thank you to him for the years of service, and even more so the great impact that he had. So we'll celebrate that in a minute, but we've got some other big transitions as well. So Dr. Blankenship, you want to go over our personnel recommendations?
We do. So you can see again, this month we have a lengthy list of new hires, and I think one of the things that I am excited about is that our school leaders have looked within at the personnel that they have, that have strengths that they want to continue to keep in our school system. And so I think I counted at least 7 on this list alone are either parents that have been parent volunteers, they are previous students of our school system, or they have been in either an hourly or classified position and are now moving into a certified position or from hourly to classified. So I think that speaks volumes to the talent that we're bringing into our school system, and then doing what we need to do to develop them and retain them and move them on into other positions. So we're real excited about that. We do have some transfers, and you can see those there. And then finally, some resignations, and I think the other big one is probably Mr. Betts, who was with the district for quite a long time. He is, we're all envious of him because he's going down to the beach, and he's going to be working in technology in Bryan County. So he's going to be near Savannah and near Tybee Island. So,
Poor fella.
So that's pretty exciting for him. And then finally, Adam Lindsay, the athletic director at Jackson County High School, has moved on to take a position at Gainesville City Schools. So.
And I just want to comment, if you don't mind, Dr. Blankenship and I spoke with Dr. Jones just 15 minutes before the board meeting, and they've already got some really good candidates and probably may have a recommendation for the AD on Monday. So that we'll be able to confirm that Monday, but they've had some excellent candidates. And then before we leave this, I want to take an opportunity to recognize a very special person who I'm glad has joined our team. And I'm going to let Anna introduce Ms. Crockett, if you don't mind.
I have been very, very, very lucky to have come on board a new finance support staff member, and her name is Miss Erin Bryant, and she's back there, and she's been here a whole week, and she's still here. And it's fiscal year end, and she's still here. And so, and she voluntarily came to the work session, so she might actually hang out with us for a little while. But she has been wonderful and is catching on so quick, and it's just amazing to have a person with those kind of strengths and capabilities on board. So I'm super, super excited.
And I want to thank Erin for being here tonight, but also for choosing to join us. She is not only a wonderful part of our family now, but she has her family in Jackson County Schools. So she has 3 children, and she's got quite a depth of experience. She's been a domestic engineer for the past few years, and that's an important part of your life for sure, but has served in a pretty high level accounting position in other corporations. So what a win it was for us.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we welcome you, and we're thrilled that you're here.
Thank you, me too.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, it's fine. And then finally, you can see we do have one retirement, although it's not going to happen for a while. And
It'll be here sooner than we want.
I know, but Dennis Patrick, our director of facilities, is planning to retire November 3rd, and so we are all very saddened by that. But he says his wife says it's time, and I think she's already making plans.
In other words, she's got some places to go.
She's good at playing
So Dennis will certainly be working closely with him over the coming months to make sure that we have a smooth transition in our facilities area. We will most likely have several additions to this list. I just want to give you a heads up, possibly up to about 5 positions that we'll be adding to this list in terms of new hires, because we have some paperwork in process. We've sent out some offer letters, and we're just waiting for that to be finalized. And they're probably sitting in my inbox as we speak, but so just know that we'll have a few names added, and I'll point those out to you on Monday. So that takes care of personnel.
And Miss Dr. Blankenship, none of those are new positions at this time. We're
No,
still
no.
just filling.
We're just filling old
positions.
filling vacant positions. And so I will share with you what we have left in it, and I have I've already pulled out of this count those that I know we have in process that we'll be adding, and just didn't have all the paperwork back in time to add them to the personnel recommendation. But so far, everybody, knock on your wood,
Oh, what, yes, tell us what.
We only have a halftime counselor position left to fill, and that was a late resignation. A halftime art position, 2 social studies positions, and a para and an office support. That's it. And all of those positions, with the exception of 1, have been interviewed for and are also in some form of process. So they're just not quite close enough to have a hand. So, but we feel very confident that we will have all of these positions filled well before the start of school. So we feel very good about that. And we're gonna need all those positions. Because you have, in your packet, if you'll remember back to last year, I did a projected preliminary enrollment numbers for our schools. And last year in July, we were sitting at a projected enrollment of 7,385. And I believe you can see on our current list, we have 7,539 projected. We grew last year over the course of the month by about 250 students, and so I don't have any reason to expect that this year will be any different, and it may actually be more considering all the construction that's going on. So several of our schools, when I pulled these numbers, I know that several of our schools still had new students that they had to add to their system. Of course, we know that we've got students sitting on our rolls that will need to be withdrawn because they've moved over, so we don't have that information yet. But so that's where we are, and we'll be updating you with that over the course of the next month or so. And then finally, let me update, well, 2 things. I wanted to update you on our onboarding process that we started. If you remember back in the spring, I talked to you about us moving to having all of our onboarding and new hire paperwork online, and then beginning a monthly onboarding with our new hires. So we started that in May, and in May we had right at 30 who attended onboarding. These were just certified positions. In June, we had 24, and this coming month we will have at least 23, and possibly more than that. So we have had very, very good feedback from the participants. In fact, 90% of them have stated on our evaluation that our onboarding experience exceeded their expectations, and at least a 95 to a 97% rating of the information being extremely helpful to them, and some very, very positive comments on just how helpful it was, how personalized it was. So we're trying to carry that into every experience that our teachers have, because the better experience we can give them from the get-go, the more likely they are to stay with us. And it would be great to come in next year and say that we don't have any teachers to hire.
That's certainly not
It's wishful thinking, but I do want to give a shout out because that onboarding experience is not me. It is the human resources team, and Barbara Banks, Shannon Kendricks, Glenda Campbell, our new addition, Michelle Bowen, and Amanda Hewell are all the individuals who come together to create that remarkable experience for our new hires. And so they deserve all the credit for that, and it's been really, really wonderful. In July, we'll be having an onboarding session for new teachers in the morning before they go to new teacher orientation. And then that afternoon, we'll be doing an onboarding for classified staff. That will include our bus drivers, our parapros, and any other staff that we've hired into those support positions. we plan, our plans are to move all of our classified, new hire paperwork online, by this fall, and continue to have our monthly onboarding sessions with both classified and certified staff. And we'll look to see what that needs to look like, because we know that we won't be hiring as many, throughout the year, so we may not need to, it may need to take a little different format, but we're excited about that, and we're excited particularly about the experience that we've provided our new employees.
And I just want to reiterate that onboarding is one of the best things that we've done. In years past, you would have new teacher orientation, and the first day was like drinking water from a fire hydrant. You just got so much information about all of the things related, and this is so personalized. They break the room into 2 halves, and you have 12 to 15 people on each side. And for each of those, I've been able to go around and introduce and meet every single one of them face to face, and ask questions and learn about them. And so breaking it down into small increments for them, it's been that fantastic experience for those folks. And like you said, every good experience they have is an increased likelihood that they will stay with us. Thank you for that work. It's very powerful.
So the last, and I appreciate that, and you're very welcome. It's my pleasure, all of our pleasure. The last piece of information you have in our human resources section is the supplement schedule. You have looked at this a number of times, and you've approved several things, but we have 3 supplements that our high school athletic directors have asked to be unfrozen, and they are middle school level supplements. And you'll see them, they should be highlighted in green. And so we'd like for you to consider unfreezing those supplements for our schools.
And we had discussed this prior to crafting the budget.
Right.
So Mr. Hitzkiss and work with Ms. Dodge, these are in the budget. So if you're, with your blessing,
Yes.
your approval of them does not necessarily increase the budget, it's already there. We're working hard to continue to improve our athletics, and as we slowly recover and do some improvement, I want to continue to support them. So unless I hear from you and you have objection, that will be an action item on Monday night for us to approve those 3 additional unfrozen. All right, and before we roll, Miss Anna, I know we have to send a shout out to Mr. Hitzkiss. He's not with us, but we certainly will continue to appreciate his excellence through efficiency. While Mr. Hitzkiss did a tremendous amount of work, and we certainly give him credit for that, I think we thank you, Anna, and we also thank our schools. They are the ones ultimately who have responded to the challenge, and I think we should celebrate that we're in the best place we've been in quite some time. So I'm going to let you share the pleasure of a great SPLOST report and an equally, if not better, interim closeout report.
Yeah, I kind of was able to do the interim and get it finished and analyzed right at the last minute, so didn't have a lot of time to go back and really make sure all the numbers were right. And so when I compiled the report, I was like, okay, I know I missed something. I did miss it. There's just no way. But it's that's it.
We looked at it together.
Yep. I mean, everything for fiscal year end, for the general fund especially, has been posted and accounted for, and it looks like we're going to end with over $8 million in fund balance. So
From our goal, that should be.
yeah, and I mean the fact that Jamie and I were wishful thinking 6.5 to 7, and then here we are. It's just, I mean, I could have done some cartwheels down the hall, but I would have broke something, but I would have loved to have been able to do them. But anyway, so we're sitting in a great place. Obviously, if you look at the financial report, we've collected a little over 3% more than we had estimated, budgeted for in our revenue, so that's great, and of course contributes to part of the wonderful ending fund balance. And then if you look at our expenditures, we spent 3% less than what we have budgeted for. So basically we're, that's overall 6% between increase in revenue and decrease in expenditures. So, I mean, we're we're at a really, really, really great place to start next year. And, then if you look at the fund balance comparison, again, this is what we focused on, is that we've not had ended with a fund balance this high since fiscal year 11. So, almost 6 years that we have been working and scrimping and scraping to get to this point, and it is very, very, very possible that we'll make it through the fall without a tan. So, wonderful things, and just, I couldn't be more excited about where we're ending the year. And then another fantastic piece of news is our SPLOST. I mean, it was almost $600,000 this month, so, and every comparison, year over year, month over month, compared to the average is all above everything, so.
It's the biggest one yet.
Yeah, and
110,000 more than last
year.
That's amazing.
And if you look at I remember when we just were rejoicing when our 12-month average got over 500,000, and now we're over 550,000. So, I mean, it's great news, and it's phenomenal, and makes my job so much easier when there's money.
And we're gonna sustain that, and I think it's real important that the board and the community know.
Yeah, that this is, we are close where we wanted to be and stay, so, I mean, if we continue with the manner of which we've been, building budgets and paying close attention and getting the classroom staff that the schools need, and the materials that they need, and the technology that they need, but still doing everything, in a conservative manner, then we're gonna continue to be in a great place.
I think some of the additional structures that we put in place, the implementation of Canvas, is going to create even greater flexibility, which allows for creativity and increased efficiency. And so I think it's just going to continue to improve. Excellent news. Thank you. Thank you very much. She's going to work diligently, and again, Erin is just coming on board, but I know you guys will be working in tandem, closing out the year and then starting up and loading a new budget so that folks can begin conservative expenditures. That's right. They'll be working. So thank you again. All right, Mr. Patrick and Mr. Patton, updates from our facilities and summer projects.
I don't know how you follow that.
Roofs aren't caving in, you're getting them fixed.
They are.
Sky's not falling.
I know. Now you have money to get buildings painted and stuff done.
So our projects are going well as scheduled, and we still have an attorney for the first day of school, so I expect everything to fall into place within the next couple of weeks. The Maysville roof is just really close to being done, and North Light's about a week, and we got painting projects. Painter expects to finish next week, and so I think everything's falling right in line to where we want it to be, and really what we expected.
So he says a few words. I'm going to say more than that because there's a lot more going on, and I want to tell you that if you have an opportunity to go by Gordon Street, please do. Just drop by. It is amazing. I remember, I guess it's been 10 or 12 years ago now, Josh, when we added the warehouse space into, and I was amazed that our staff could do that. But now you go over and see what has been done at Gordon Street. It is truly amazing. So they've worked very hard at Gordon Street, in addition to overseeing a lot of projects that are going on.
It has turned out well. I'm very proud of all the guys.
So we've got some pretty significant transition movement here. Teaching and learning will be over there. Food service will be over there. Technology is already partnering with teaching and learning, and then that same team. So we're kind of sad. I mean, it's exciting, but it's going to be business office and myself and Amanda and personnel, and the rest of the folks will be over there in a new environment. So that'll be good. But that's optimizing the use of some quality space. We all done a great job there.
Absolutely.
And of course, you've also been overseeing our resurfacing projects.
Right.
And if you didn't,
one of the requests last month on SPLOST was resurfacing the tennis courts at Jackson County High and East Jackson High, and we came about $60,000 under budget on that project, which is always good. Out of a very reputable company out of the Atlanta area, Southeastern Tennis, company, who's done some work for us in the past. It's got the project, they are delayed right now, Columbia County eased ahead of us. And they had, Jerry told me they have 27 courts to refinish down there, and the rain has not been cooperating with them, so it looks like, July the 26th is when they will begin work with us, on our project. And I've checked with the two schools and they're okay going into August with the work, so.
How long would it take to finish this?
It's, well, it depends on the project. Jackson County High would probably take a little bit longer than East because the courts are older. There's more cracks to be sealed down there. So probably about a week and a half, maybe 2 down here, and less than that at East Jackson High. So, they should get started on the 26th of July.
And we are still looking at and plan to move forward with the resurfacing of the track at East High. But in talking with the athletic director and principal, we want to wait till after the football season. We don't want that work going on, so we'll probably wait and potentially squeeze it in between October and November. If not, then we'll wait and that would be next year's summer project. So, and they're good with that. Of course, you've also been resurfacing asphalt, driveway, parkways. I mean, parking lots. Driving a parkway, parking a driveway, right?
Yeah. The parking lots do look great. It makes the grass look greener. So,
Those have turned out with all this rain.
it's been difficult. Everything's been difficult. I mean, the roofs, the parking lots, and those roofers been working. You know, they work till lunch and then
pause.
And you know, they might have to stop for an hour, and you know, they're just working in between rain showers. So it's been a challenge for everybody this year.
Especially considering how many different projects. Then you're working on getting West Jackson Elementary School drainage, and they've done some, as you know, that school is, and East Middle coming up on 20 years, and so there's some spaces in there that really needed some renovation, and so Josh and the team have done those, and we've got some drainage repairs that will come in the next couple of weeks. Exterior.
We got that lined up, and so you'll see some work going on over there, taking care of some water issues.
And then we met with Josh and Dennis and myself, and several others met with Miss Hallie and the East Jackson Elementary School PTO, and so they've done, as many of our schools continue to raise their own funds for things that they want, raised a lot of money for their playground, and so we're trying really hard to get their drainage fixed as soon as possible, so that they can use some of those funds and expand their playground, especially with some of the new students that they have coming. So it's been a busy summer, and everybody's working really hard as they always do. So thank you both, Mr. Patrick and Ms. Patton. Mr. Patton.
What is the anticipated date of that, of East Elementary being completed?
On the playground?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't, in trying to get through the summer and the weather pattern that we had, and the fact that really contractors are so hard to find right now. Everybody getting, we anticipated jumping on that in the fall when everything kind of slows down a little bit, and I think it'll be quicker then, and we can get a better job. I'm waiting on that. So, you know, maybe a 2-3 week project over there. They've already came up with some
preliminary plans.
Other areas they can go run around in during that.
So I believe that's all the official items we have. Does anybody else have anything? Ms. Bell's working diligently with the team on that consolidated needs assessment, and she's in a great place with that, right, Ms. Bell?
2 weeks left.
That's a new process that the state has deployed, I guess you could say, for our federal programs, and so it is quite an undertaking. A general consensus across the state is it's probably a little more demanding than it needed to be, but she's leading the work and jumping through those hoops, so we appreciate that work. So a lot of busy folks around this office working very, very hard. And Troy, this is the first time I guess you've officially been at the table, and we are grateful you're here. He has crunched some numbers. Our data is starting to come in. It's still embargoed, so we are not in a position yet to be public with it. So but Troy's been working really hard at doing some analysis. So we'll be having a follow-up principals meeting with our principals next week and it will be kind of part 2 of our retreat, and we'll be digging into that data to look, do some planning. So that's all the official information we have. We do need to have an executive session if that's feasible.
So if there's no further discussion, can I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
In a second? Alrighty, I'm gonna do that.
All right, yeah, Mr. Bryant.